The promotion of peace and security is one of the key objectives of the African Union as enshrined in its constitutive act. The Peace and Security Department of the Commission of the AU was established to provide the necessary support to efforts aimed at promoting peace, security, and stability on the continent. Among the department's 5 divisions, the Conflict Prevention and Early Warning Division focuses on the anticipation and prevention of violent conflicts in Africa.
The importance of prevention, which is always less costly than dealing with a crisis in terms of human lives, in terms of destructions, in terms of instability in the neighboring countries. When it comes to the prevention of conflicts, I think here we have to recall a very wise and pertinent decision taken by our Peace and Security Council in terms of establishing a linkage between early warning and early response to any crisis.
Conflict Prevention and Early Warning Division focuses on the operationalization aspects of the African peace and security architecture, including the Continental Early Warning System, Panel of the Wise, and the AU Border Program. The 5-person panel of highly respected African personalities from various segments of society who have made outstanding contributions to the cause of peace, security, and development on the continent are tasked with supporting the efforts of the Peace and Security Council and those of the chairperson of the Commission, particularly in the area of conflict prevention.
My division consists of the AU Border Program, the Early Warning System, and the Panel of the Wise. Ours is to make sure that we inform the leadership of the AU Commission and the Peace and Security Council on potential conflicts, on conflicts that are occurring, and on conflicts that have occurred, but with a risk of reverting. That is what our Continental Early Warning System does. We are also having the Panel of the Wise, and the Panel of the Wise is one of the tools which is meant to respond to some of the conflicts that are about to happen.
The Pan-African Network of the Wise devotes most of its work to thematic issues relevant to conflict prevention and management, undertaking pre-election assessment missions to various countries, as well as regular strategy consultations with counterparts from the RECs, with the various components of the Commission and Special Envoys on peacemaking. The panel has also built synergies on conflict prevention and mediation with the RECs through the establishment of the Pan-African Network of the Wise at a retreat held in Addis Ababa in April 2013, where they adopted a framework for the operationalization of the Pan-Wise.
In their wisdom, the heads of state of the African Union realized that also some of the conflicts that do occur, they're sometimes linked to border disputes. So they gave us also the AU Border Program.
As part of its structural conflict prevention activities, the AU is implementing its border program adopted in 2007 through the provision of support to delimitation and demarcation exercises on the continent and the promotion of cross-border cooperation and capacity building. An AU Convention on Cross-Border Cooperation has been elaborated in this regard.
AU Border Program is about 3 pillars: delimitation and demarcation of all African borders before the year 2017, and cross-border cooperation and capacity building. Demarcation, we have demarcated so far at least 50% of African borders.
With the numerous border-related tensions and disputes, even outright wars on the African continent since the 1950s and 1960s, the creation of the AUBP constitutes a direct response to the need to preserve the principles of state sovereignty and territorial integrity for peace and security on the African continent. At the same time, the AUBP places an emphasis on its proactive strategy of conflict prevention in order to forestall the necessity of conflict resolution.
AU has been implementing the operationalization of the Continental Early Warning System since the adoption of the PSE protocol in July 2002. And in this regard, it began a consultative process between the regional economic communities, academic, civil society organizations, African think tanks, in terms of how would you go about operationalizing a continental early warning system.
The governmental experts meeting on early warning and conflict prevention, which was held in Kempton Park, South Africa, from 17 to 19 December 2006, adopted the framework for the operationalization of the Continental Early Warning System, CUES, which was subsequently endorsed by the 10th Ordinary Session of the Executive Council held in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia in January 2007.
The framework has three key elements. It talks of data collection based on an indicators module, the production of early warning reports and engagement with decision makers, and coordination and collaboration between the various stakeholders that are mentioned in Article 12 of the PSE protocol.
The Continental Early Warning System consists of a situation room, which is an observation and monitoring unit.
Situation room is responsible for monitoring and data collection of information on potential, actual, and post-conflict situations in Africa. Situation room also serves as a point of contact, as it serves 24 hours, 7 days a week throughout the clock.
These crew members produce various reports, such as daily news highlights, daily report, flash report, and updates on potential and conflict situations, and weekly updates to provide a weekly overview of the political, military, humanitarian, human rights, and other developments in the region. To guide this process of data collection, management, and dissemination, there is an ongoing development, review, and refinement of tools, indicators, and parameters at the Situation Room.
The first category is the tools that helps us in data collecting and analysis of dynamic events, or we call them dynamic data collection tools. Dynamic data collection tools will help us to address the kind of data which is changing minute by minute. Therefore, we need to put an effort to get data on a real-time basis from all our sources. In that regard, we have a kind of tool that collects data from online media sources, that means the internet, as well as our subscribed newswires such as AFP, Reuters, BBC Monitoring, etc. And the bundle of tools that are available under this category are a number of them, but generally we call them the Africa Media Monitor tools. The second category, the tools that helps us harmonizing our efforts with our stakeholders, mainly the regional economic communities.
These well-designed data collection and information gathering tools, which support and facilitate engagement with the decision makers, include Africa News Brief, CUES Portal, the Indicators and Profiles module, the Africa Reporter, Africa Prospects, and the last one is LiveMine.
The other technical aspect that we are periodically doing is called the structural vulnerability assessment. And the structural vulnerability assessment involves the compilation of structural data, reposit them, extract them, manage them, collect them, and do a kind of association, statistical association, so that we can forecast the vulnerability of countries to conflict.
In the development of these tools, early warning officers, Situation Room staff, as well as the desk officers have played a leading role and have developed the highest level of ownership.
In terms of coordination and collaboration between the various stakeholders that are mentioned in the protocol, the Continental Early Warning System has established relations with the regional economic communities, or the early warning systems of the RECs, in terms of the development of comparable and compatible methodologies and tools to be able to do early warning. We have also developed relations with civil society organizations as well as with the UN agencies. And we are in the process of developing links with research institutes or research centers and think tanks. We have also established relationships with a number of development partners that have assisted both in the development of some of the tools that are used for early warning.
In addition, more efforts are underway to facilitate the connectivity of the early warning mechanisms of the regional economic communities to the Continental Early Warning System through the AU VSAT. Since its adoption on December 2006, significant progress has been made to the operationalization of the Continental Early Warning System, and this system provides reliable and up-to-date information and analysis on potential, actual, and post-conflict situations.
In a broad manner, I think the prevention will have to be our first priority in the Peace and Security Department, because this will help us prevent the eruption or the relapse of some crises that are becoming very big challenges for our peace and security, but also for our development and also for the image of the continent.
The PSC also urged the Commission to finalize the development of the Country Structural Vulnerability Assessment with a view to facilitating the identification at an early stage of a country's structural vulnerability to conflict, and the development of a country structural vulnerability mitigation strategy. In the future, the Qs will continue working towards ensuring timely, accurate, and reliable collection and analysis of information to fulfill the requirements entrusted upon it by the PSC protocol and the framework for the operationalization of the Continental Early Warning System. It will also continue to enhance and strengthen its collaboration with stakeholders, mainly the early warning systems of the regional economic communities, which are an integral part of the Continental Early Warning System.